Do I have to do the ketogenic diet to benefit? Now, I made this question up. So, because I'm not ketogenic diet, I'm not the type of person to be monitoring my blood glucose every day, to be monitoring my ketones via blood every day, because in order to do it right, you need to be monitoring your blood ketones, not your breath ketones, okay? So, but what I will say is this. Intermittent fasting is phenomenal. It's a very, very useful tool to be using because ketogenic diet is extremely anti-inflammatory. Insulin, prolonged high insulin levels, prolonged chronically elevated insulin levels are inflammatory. So if you go to your doctor and you ask them, say, hey doc, I want to look at my fasting insulin levels. And if your fasting insulin levels are high, you're inflamed. And you are if you're not diabetic, you're on the road to being diabetic. So intermittent fasting is not complicated. There's great books on the subject, phenomenal books on the subject. I have many at home. You can lower your carbohydrate consumption. You're eating probably multiple hundreds of grams of carbohydrate a day. No joke, seriously. Get the Chronometer app on your phone, start logging it. It's actually really interesting. And when you log a food, the Chronometer remembers what foods you have, so it's very easy to tap for the next time that you eat that food. So it's very quick and efficient because we always have our phones on us, right? So every time you eat, tap it. So you can just simply lower your carbohydrate consumption and have a more moderate protein, not high, because protein can also go to raising glucose levels. Not all amino acids, but many of them. You can support fat burning, and you support fat burning by various nutrients, compounds, and also not being stressed out, intermittent fasting, and more exercise, okay? And longer, healthier, deeper sleep. Big one, 80% satiety, okay? I'm 207 pounds, give or take. I'm 6'5". I don't exercise as much as I should. Granted, I'll admit it. I need to. My Oura ring keeps telling me, Ben, you gotta exercise more. And I do, but I'm still fit, okay? I'm still strong. I still have my muscle tone. If I'm not exercising that hard and I'm still average, well, I'm healthy weight and I still have muscle mass, then big part of that is I eat 80% until I'm full and I stop. Because it takes time for that satiety trigger to hit. And if you're eating junk food, you are inflamed. And if you are inflamed, you are not gonna reach satiety. Another pearl, remember this is key. Fructose, high fructose corn syrup bypasses the satiety trigger. You can eat or drink as much high fructose corn syrup and you will not trigger the I'm full signal and you will keep eating. Get rid of the high fructose corn syrup, please. And fructose is found in many juices as well. Apple juice is very high in fructose. Stress reduction, very, very key as well. We already talked about this many, many times, but stress will spike your blood sugar, it will affect your sleep and everything else. So you've got to be taking a very, very hard look at your stress, which is why I've got the Oura ring, and you can use HRV apps. There's many things that you can look at to evaluate your stress. Muse, meditation, is also very useful. The Muse device that you can get on Amazon, M-U-S-E, and you can do some meditation. It's phenomenal. Sleep optimization, again, sleep cycle, Oura ring, great. So, we talked about fasting insulin. When you eat, your insulin goes up. If your insulin levels are chronically elevated or chronically high, you are not going to get into ketosis. Okay? It's not going to happen. So, if you're having breakfast and you're like, oh, I'm going to have my snack, you're going to bust out your granola, then you have your lunch, and then your snack, and then your dinner. Your insulin levels are high, higher than they need to be all day. Then you go to sleep. and then you wake up at night because your blood sugar is whacked. If this is you and your blood sugar is whacked and you can't fall asleep again until you have a snack, this is classic. So look at your insulin has been high all day. What do? You change it. And I lost it. I reordered my slide, sorry. You change it. Actually, I didn't reorder it. But now that I'm here, here we go. You have your bigger breakfast, then you don't eat until your lunch. Now your insulin levels have dropped, okay? And then you have 8 solid hours of sleep, and now your insulin levels are low for 8 hours. Compare this to that. This is a great, great image to take away. So if you're eating throughout the day, like every hour, every couple hours, that's not good, okay? You need to reduce it. Snacking is the devil for a ketogenic diet. Now, why did I show this? Well, this is a lot of science, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to just keep it very simple, and I'm going to skip most of it. NADH. When you eat food, your body takes that food and it turns it into fuel, so you can turn that fuel into energy so you can do things. NADH is part of that very, very important nutrient that goes to your mitochondria to make ATP. If you are eating a lot of food, you are having a lot of NADH. The more food that you eat, the more NADH that you have. So how do you get rid of NADH? You exercise, you burn it off. If you have a lot of NADH, your body's going to say, hey, my cells are full, you're going to get insulin resistant, you're going to become diabetic. And what happens when you're diabetic or you're insulin resistant? You start getting eye issues, you start getting inflammation, you start getting neuropathy, you start getting ulcers and circulation issues, right? Very, very significant problems. Why? That food has to go somewhere. Your fuel tank is full, and so your body's going to say, you know what? We have to get rid of it. So if you can't take that glucose, go into your Krebs cycle to make more NADH because you already have too much of it from eating too much, it's going to send it down these other pathways that are reactive and damaging. ROS stands for reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species. Again, okay? All of these are very inflammatory. So if you eat too much, or you eat a lot of carbohydrate, a lot of glucose containing foods, and carbs or glucose, and a very high protein, paleo is all the rage now too. Paleo amino acids can turn into glucose, just like carbohydrates, and you can be pushing your glucose, and you can be increasing all these reactive oxygen species, which do what? Cause pain. And what is the heart of depression? Inflammation. Inflammation and pain are really, really key and linked. And Dr. Kelly Brogan wrote a book called A Mind of Your Own, that she talks about the serotonin myth, and she busts it completely. And it's the center of depression is inflammation. When you are overeating, you are getting inflamed. And I know a lot of you, and many of you, and myself included, when you are depressed, you go to the carbs and you feel better, but you know what? It's short-lived because you're increasing the inflammation right away again. And look at this. You need glutathione to help neutralize this as well. And PQQ will probably also help this. But you know what the best way to reduce this reactive oxygen species is? To stop eating so much. And a ketogenic diet is also very useful here. And look at fructose. Fructose is, well, I don't have it on this slide. There's another slide. But fructose will produce a lot of NADH as well. It's a big problem. So, very key points here. So, if you struggle, if you're the type of person that says, hey, I want to switch to the ketogenic diet, but I can't seem to have enough energy to have to keep eating carbs. If you have to keep eating carbs in order to keep your energy up, then your insulin levels are probably all out of whack. There's a lot going on that you need to talk with your doctor with, but it also might be because you're not being able to burn your fat. And if you can't burn your fat, then there's nutrients which are required by your body to help take those fats so you can burn them and use them as fuel. And so nutrients that are needed to help burn fat as fuel is carnitine, alpha-R-lipoic acid, and biotin. These are all really, really important for the beta oxidation pathway in your body, which uses and produces ketones. And then you also need these basically in general for other things as well. But these nutrients are essential to help you burn fat as fuel. So no, you do not have to have the ketogenic diet to benefit, because the benefits, as I already showed you, is reducing the glucose, the carbs, so you don't have all these reactive oxygen species. But now, if you want to know if the ketogenic diet is right for you, I've made an assessment for you. And again, you can go to drbenlynch.com/keto. And you go there, you take that simple assessment, and you'll know right away if it's good for you or not, okay? So, and these nutrients you can find at seekinghealth.com, and you can use the coupon code KETO, K-E-T-O, to save 15% off of these until I think Friday or Saturday. My team at Seeking Health will set you straight on that, well, set me straight. So hope that served you guys. That's it. I know there's a lot of probably more questions.